Hello, everyone. Just a reminder, we are Winter Pride 2021, raising money for the Trevor Project. We are getting so close to the $2,500 milestone. Please get your donations in. But now, we have Rabbids Go Home by Jaxler. Take it away.
Alright, hello everybody. Alright, I'm super excited. This is Rabbids Go Home. This is a very strange little video game. We're playing the all missions run on the PC port of the game. If you're at all familiar with this game, you'd know there's a lot more content that you're gonna probably see in this run. So the PC port of this game was only released in select European countries such as France, Germany, Poland, and a couple of others Czech Republic, and a couple more that I can't remember off the top of my head. So there are 16 missions, and our goal is to get to the end of each one of them as quickly as possible. Alright, so with that being said, I'm pretty much just ready to go. So time is going to start as soon as I start up the first mission. We're going to start with this one. We'll start time in 3, 2, 1, begin. Random pieces of junk to bring back to the Rabbids home base. And the idea behind that is get a bunch of stuff so you can make a giant pile of random junk to create a step ladder to the moon so that you go take a nap on it. Or the Rabbids can go take a nap on it, rather. And so that is essentially the plot of the game and what you would be concerned with in a any percent speedrun on the Wii version of the game. But because this is all missions, we don't really worry about any of the collectibles along the way. Our goal is just to get to the end of each of these levels as quickly as possible. So we have this kind of introductory cutscene here with Barney and Nurse Betty. We're going to be seeing them several times throughout each level, or not each level, in a couple of levels later as well. The goal of each mission in the game is to get one really big MacGuffin object to add to the pile. And in this case, it's not Barney that we want, but it's his bubble that we want. So our goal is to yoink it so that we can add it to our pile to reach the moon. So like I mentioned, this is kind of like a 3D platform in a shopping cart. So there's not really any jumping mechanics. It's really just moving around and using an attack that basically we just scream at things in this game. But I'm going to be referring to it as a BWA, a B-W-A-A BWA. And that's just because that's what it's referred to within the game itself. You're also going to notice there's a bunch of Respect the Pouch ads. So if you grew up around the same time I did, those might make you cringe internally a little bit, because they were all over the place. But yeah, this game has Capri Sun product placement in it for some godforsaken reason. So as we make our way through these sort of fan and elevator shafts, I'm going to be going for a glitch right here as I go through this vent. And I'm going to slow down a little bit. And let's see, I think I got it. So I mash BWA here while not exactly falling through the vent. And what that does is during the next cutscene, it causes the camera to flip. And when the camera is flipped around, it will actually deload the door on the other side of the room. Ooh, I got the proxy. Okay, nice. So I didn't even get ready to explain that because I was expecting I'd miss it. But that's a very new trick that was discovered, I think actually last week by the current world record holder Doggy333, all the way from, I believe, Belgium. And that is called an elevator proxy. So elevators are kind of an illusion in this game. The way that they work is you stay in the elevator for a little bit while the next part of the level loads. And then it teleports you to an identical looking elevator in the next section. So what is essentially happening is I'm rubbing up against the door of the previous elevator room. There's 2 copies of each of these little elevator rooms, and when you get sent to the next elevator copy, it brings you back to the middle of the elevator at a very high speed. And if I use the yelling BWA attack at the right time as I'm getting teleported, instead of sending me backwards at a high speed, it sends me up at a high speed. And that allows me to get up and over the invisible wall and skip a little bit of movement there. If you do it right, you can actually get the camera to flip similar to the glitch I did earlier on, and actually deload the second door and skip that puzzle entirely. But it's very, very tricky to get that to work, so I'm just happy to have gotten the proxy there in the first place. So we've got our good friend Barney now, and in any of these levels with the bubble bed, there's a special mechanic that as soon as you get a hold of the bubble bed, instead of your normal bois attack, you get essentially 3 charges of a jump that you can use in these rooftop sections. Now, my goal here is to remain grounded as much as possible. You actually move a little bit faster when you're on the ground compared to your airspeed, especially if you're using these jump charges. So I'm trying to minimize my jumps as well as minimize the amount of time I'm spending in the air. So as you can see, besides the respective pouch ads, we're making our way to a toilet. So once you get the XL item in any given level, your goal is to bring it to a toilet. You can flush it down the toilet and send it back to base. But as soon as we see the wall break, that counts as having beaten the level. So we just exit level right away, and we move on to the next mission. So I kind of mentioned a little bit that all of these levels are taken from the original Wii version. And they're kind of at like the levels that were selected for the PC port of the batch of normal Wii levels are kind of at various different parts of the game's story when you would unlock different abilities. So I'm kind of doing these in a loosely chronological order. So we're going into Rabbids next. Now, this is like the level that introduces the primary antagonists of the game, which are these humans called Verminators who put on these basically hazmat suits in order to try to contain the havoc that we're causing here in the Battle Mall. But before we see them, we have some chihuahuas that we need to deal with. So what I'm going to be doing is sort of going up and to the left into the corner in order to lure the chihuahuas into my loving arms so I can then yell at them and convince them to join my shopping cart and by extension pile to the moon. Now, here's a really interesting part. This is supposed to be a non-linear bit of gameplay where you have to find these 5 red pipes to make a trampoline to the next area. But I'm just going to use my own trampoline to get to the end of the level. I missed the skip. Okay. This might take a couple of tries. This is a little bit precise.
While we're working on that, do we have time for a few quick donations?
Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah, go for it.
All right, we've got $100 from Corundum Core, who says, "Hey Jax, your pal Ruby here. Good luck on the run. Shoutouts to Speedruns Rochester, and I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, blah."
Yeah, speaking of bois, so if I bois going off of that ledge into the back of the ramp, instead of the ramp, ramps are normally like boost pads that send you into the air. But if you hit that ramp from the wrong side, instead of it sending you in the opposite direction, it sends you straight up into the air. And so I can use that to go out of bounds and fall into a tunnel that is normally used as part of the end level sequence, which skips the entirety of the level, and that saves several minutes. Speaking of things that save several minutes, we're going to do a really big sequence break in this level too. This is normally the first major level that you would play through in story order on the Wii version of the game. However, the developers of the game built the level in such a way where different portions of the level wrap around and underneath each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of wiggle at this set of double doors, and the game is just going to give up and clip me through the floor, and that just puts me right at the end of the level. It turns out that you actually don't really need the XL item to beat any given level. As long as you can just get to the end level objective, which is that toilet and the breakable wall, that counts as beating the mission. And so we're going to be abusing that a lot throughout the run in order to do some interesting stuff. We've already done a couple of interesting things. We've basically already skipped 2 of the XL items. But now we're going into a great cutscene. Welcome to the People Company Enterprise Incorporated. Anyway, so in this next section, we're going to start dealing with some humans. And humans generally don't put up a fight, but they're also in our way. So we're going to take this water cooler and hit them with it in order to remove their clothing. And when we remove their clothing, we make them so scared that they open the way to the next section. Now in this elevator, I'm going to be going for another elevator proxy like we did in the first level, but this one's a little bit different. If I do it right, it'll instead send me forward at a super high speed. Nice, that was perfect. And you basically make your way into the next cutscene trigger within the span of a few frames. And that allows us also to get a little bit closer to the start of this chase sequence, which saves you even more time. So we're going to clear through here in about 22 seconds. And so this elevator is normally locked, but if I just wiggle at it, eventually the wall gives up, and then I can use a blah mid-air in order to give me extra distance and boost straight to the XL object. Again, the level designers built each of these missions in such a way that they wrap around each other, even though most of the time it's just switchbacks that you would play through. So by clipping through that wall, we can just cut through a big portion of the level and just get straight to the toilet right here. Hit this right here. There we go. So you don't want to skip the cutscene too early, otherwise it doesn't really count as being the mission. And we're gonna go into rules are for tools now. So in this level, I did those 4 levels first because those levels are at a part of the game's story where you don't have boost unlocked. Other of the 12 levels you're gonna be seeing from now on have the boost unlocked, and it's gonna let us do some really fun speed stuff. So the reason I made the Mario Kart comparison is that's kind of how this speed booster works. Essentially, if I take a tight turn, I build up these blue sparks next to my shopping cart. And then if I press the right bumper, I can take that charge and use it to get a speed boost. And so we're obviously going to be using that to build extra speed, but we can also use it for an unintended physics exploit that I just did right there called a blah boost. So that's combining both the speed that we get from the boost with a blah. So essentially what's happening there is when you boost off of a ramp or off of a given higher surface in this game, the game gives you a little bit of extra speed in order to ensure that you actually clear the ramp. And after a little bit, it'll slow down your speed eventually. What we're doing is we're delaying the process by which the game cuts our speed by blowing at a very specific time. And that gives us a lot more height and distance and speed. So basically anytime I see a ramp, I'm gonna be going for a blah boost. So see me do one right here. And that's gonna give me a huge speed boost and almost catch up to Sandra right there. And the blah boost can actually be used to do some cool little platforming skips here as well. So you're gonna see me do one off of this ramp in order to clear this wall so I don't have to switch back as much. I can also do one right here in order to kind of get up this wall and get an earlier charge on my boost. My goal with all of my placement of charges and blah boosts and all of that is to try to give myself as many opportunities as possible in order to get an extra, I guess, mini turbo, if you will, for lack of a better analog. And the more boosts I get, the faster I go. So it's one of those kinds of things. So it takes a lot of practice to know how to set up for specific ramps. So for example, getting a blah boost off of that is a little bit, takes a little bit of practice. And then getting boosts in straightaways is also really tricky. But right here, I'm gonna boost early. Oh, that stinks. So what I was trying to do there is go for a quick kill. But I'm gonna have to take some slower backup strats because I whiffed the shot. That's fine. Oh, I don't want the bomb. I said I don't want the bomb. Okay, so there's a couple of cycles I'm gonna be trying to make here, so I will be a little bit quiet through here. Let me see if I get this. I'm probably too late. Oh, I almost made the cycle. That was a good try. But yeah, the movement is pretty straightforward from here until the end of the level, so I guess now would be a pretty good time for any more messages, if you've got anything you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, we've got a $10 donation from Garby, who says, $10 for the ump in SMW Remix. I want to see Tic-Tac-Toe and Candy Box too. And we also have $20 from Drunkrat with no comment. Thank you both very, very much for your generosity.
All right, so we are going into the second of our 4 bubble bed levels. However, we've got a bit of a lengthy cutscene here, which is kind of funny. It kind of introduces the Verminator antagonist a little bit because we kind of skipped their introduction that we would have seen in Rabbids, where we did that really big boost into the air. So this is just a really great cutscene. So I guess if you got another quick message, this would probably be another good time.
Mostly just want to say that we are $100 away from the $2,500 donation milestone. So
holy crap.
I think we can hit it before the end of the run. What about you?
Let's make it happen. Thank you all so much for your generosity. That is just wild for me to think of in my brain. Okay, so there are some nice doggos here. They're good boys, but they are slow to properly deal with. So I'm gonna try to wall boost off that ramp. All right, I'll take second try. You need a lot of distance off of that one in order to clear it. And one of the consequences of that is we skip a cutscene that would normally play after that encounter. So there's a bunch of obstacles that are supposed to load in there that just don't because we skipped the cutscene. And one of the nice things about the boost is that if we boost into an enemy, it's an instant pretty much. So in terms of gameplay and for the humans, it's very useful because it basically just insta strips them and gives us all of their clothing so we can immediately move on to the next area. So I think I mentioned this a little bit before. Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna ruin this construction workers day. Later, buddy. Yeah, this game has a very interesting sense of humor. But yeah, so straightaways are really tricky to get boosts in. Because the game requires you to sort of get a turn going in order for you to register a boost charge. So you're gonna see me do a lot of what I call snaking, where I kind of weave left and right relative to where I want to go in order to build up boost charges. Got a little bit of a wah boost off of a bump in the tubing right there, which is a little bit tricky. And I'm gonna go for one off of the edge of this vent. Nice, and then boost into the cutscene. And Barney should say a great line here.
Is it already time for my suppository?
Thank you, Barney. And then from here, we're going to go into a triple Verminator encounter. It is possible to get all three of them with the same boost charge. I got two of them, which is still pretty good. And then I line that up such that when I finish my boost charge, you actually still have a little bit of momentum during the cutscene, even though you don't have control. So I line myself up such that the boost takes me further to my next destination. But from here, we pick up our good pal Barney, and we politely escort him into the elevator. Oh, he said the same line again, which is very, very interesting. So in this bubble bed level and the future ones, we now have access to boosting. So what boosting does with the bubble bed equipped is it actually gives us a little bit of extra height without consuming one of these jump charges. So you're gonna see me do that here a little bit, but it's pretty tricky to set up because the physics of your shopping cart actually change if you're holding an XL item. So in a lot of ways, your handling is actually more difficult to control when you're in some of these later sections of the level. So if you see me do a bit more of exaggerated snaking, that's why. So I'm doing a couple of boost charges here. Most of the time what I'm trying to do is end the boost early by hitting a slope. I missed the boost right there, but that works. Like I mentioned before, being in the air, especially with the bubble bed, is quite slow. Oh gosh, okay, we're good. So I'm trying to prevent that as much as possible by timing my jumps in such a way that I touch the ground as early as I have access to. So right there, I bumped a little bit because I jumped the gun just a tad, but I should immediately fall down onto here. Then I tried to get another boost charge so I can cut this corner. And then hopefully this last boost will get me straight into the cutscene. Oh, I missed the exit button. Menuing can be a little tricky sometimes. And then from here, we're going into probably one of my favorite levels to execute in the run, which is called Mooning Miami, or I just call it Miami, because Miami. But this is a sort of chase sequence level where there's going to be this guy hauling off a cow in a truck. And our goal is to save the cow, because the cow is a good friend. And we also want to add him to our pile to the moon. I don't know if the cow has a name. I was requested that we name the cow Frank. So I guess Frank works as an operative name, but if you all have any suggestions for what to name the cow, and the other cow that we'll see later, feel free to let me know in the chat. But this level is all boost movement, so we're going to be doing a lot of really tricky bois boosting strats. There's nothing like super game-breaking that we can do to immediately skip to the end of this level, but we're going to be doing a lot of really precise snaking as well as bois boost. So right here, for example, try to bois boost over that ramp so I can cut a pretty tricky corner right there. And then if I get this bois boost off the stairs right here, I can actually squeeze by before that obstacle gets in my way and cuts me off, which allows me to save a cycle. I can also just bois boost out of bounds if I cut that corner properly. So I can do just a bunch of snaking in this sort of out of bounds section. And then if I boost into this wall here, I'll just pop back in bounds and we're all good to go. That saves a couple of seconds as well. Yeah, so every blob boost that you see me do has a timing to it. So it's not just like I press the blob button as soon as possible. You have to delay the timing, and that's something that can be a little bit tricky, especially when you're picking up the game for the first time. And especially if you're playing on the Wii version, because the button mapping for blowing in Rabbids Go Home on Wii is shaking the Wii remote, and it is a little bit of a nightmare. So shoutouts to all of the Wii runners of this game for putting up with that nonsense. I'm lucky because PC port has Xbox controller support, so I just get to press the shoulder button, and all of my problems are solved for me. So we caught up with the truck, and we're going to drive the truck with the cow off the cliff, and this will allow us to regain control of the cow. So, see, he's fine. The cow is fine. The cow is okay, except for the fact that a bomb is going to get planted onto the cow's head. So this is a time sequence where we have to escape with the cow before we blow up the cow and, by extension, ourselves. So again, this section is a little more tricky than it might appear at a glance because we have a cow on our head. And like I said earlier, having XL items on your head, like this cow, for example, actually reduce your handling, which makes it harder to get boost charges. So you can see I'm struggling a little bit here just to get boost charges going. But it's all good. We saved the cow, so we can flush him down the toilet, and that also disarms the bomb, so you don't need to worry about him. He's all good now. So now we're heading into mid-game, which is this speedrun has probably one of the most ridiculous mid-games in terms of like speedrun pacing that I've ever like seen in any game that I run. There are just like back-to-back-to-back movement levels that are just really, really cool to watch. I'm going to start by sort of leaning against the wall in order to skip a cutscene that happens when you pick up the first traffic cone in the level. And then I get a blob boost off of there, and then I'm going to try to squeeze in one boost there, and then get another charge so I can blob boost off of the ramp just to gain some extra speed. I love that line. Do you have any idea who I am? So yeah, we're going to take the vent here, Among Us joke, and then I'm going to try to snake through this straightaway here to get 2 boosts before doing the blob boost, and then chain that into another blob boost off of here. That whole segment of movement is just really, really fun to execute. So I haven't really, okay, never mind. I'll talk about that later. So we're going to do another skip here. So there's this Verminator I'm supposed to take out, but I don't really feel like it, so I'm going to blob boost over that fence that doesn't have an invisible wall high enough. And that's actually going to just let me completely skip that section, and also kind of screw with the camera a little bit, because the game expects me to be coming from another Amogus vent. And so this will actually make this blob boost right here a little bit easier to win up. This might take me a couple of tries though, because I actually need to start the boost at the bottom of the ramp so I can get a higher angle to clear the fence and skip hitting a button. Okay, I'll take second try. That's a really tough blob boost. This is a really big fight skip here. There's a bunch of Verminators you're supposed to take out there, but you can use the entry ramp in order to just blob boost over it, and the game's just like, hey, alright, that's fine. No worries. So I'm going to use the projectile Rabbid. Normally, like, it makes more sense on the Wii version why you can have a targeting reticle to shoot at a Rabbid, because in-game you have one in your Wii remote. It's a very interesting plot point. But I had to use that there to handle those grates. And we're going to go into another Amogus vent, blob once in order to change the direction of the pipe, and that'll take us to this next bit where I'm going to try to go for another blob boost right here. Nice. And if you cut the angle just right, you don't bonk on any of the walls. It's a little bit trickier than it looks to line up there compared to other blob boosts. So hit the grate right there. And then we've got a spiky friend here. These are, you know, just the same as standard Verminators, except this is like the first time you're supposed to see one of these enemies. So for fun, I'm going to try to see... There's a really difficult wall clip you can do here. I'm going to go for it for a second and see if I can't get it. So once he comes back over to me, I'll just skip it. There we go. So the trick with that guy is just to boost around, like, curve around him. That gives you a boost charge and lets you just sneak right by him and complete the fight. I was trying to go for the wall clip. I actually hit it in practice, which is why I even bothered thinking about going for it in the first place. But you can, in theory, clip through that wall and it saves a couple of seconds if you get it first try. But yeah, we're gonna get introduced to a very great cutscene. So there's actually a romantic subplot between Barney and his nurse. And this is a great climatic moment. I'm gonna just let you listen. I love that cutscene. So now we're coming into some levels with water hazards, and this is going to open up a new movement technique called water bois boosting. So normally, so I just did a skip there. Don't worry about that. That actually cuts a giant amount of time. But normally in water, if you boost, it doesn't actually really give you a big speed boost at all. But if you bois at like the same time you would do a bois boost off of a ramp, you actually get like normal boost speed off of it. So whenever you see me go into water, such as right up ahead here, you're gonna see me do that bois motion again in order to build extra speed in water. Now right here, there's supposed to be another fight with one of those spiky lads, but you can actually bois into the corner and use a bit of geometry to get on top of that sort of rotating pipe earlier, and you just completely skip the enemy encounter there entirely. Quick banger warning, the song that is about to play is really great, so I'm going to shut up for a little bit. There it goes. Orange section in this game is amazing. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now it's going to go into more dramatic horn music. So now we have dogs with helmets, which is just adorable, but unfortunately, I need their chicken, so come over here. Come here, give me your chicken. Thank you, Mr. Doggo. And so what I'm doing right here is for these Verniators, what I'm at least trying to do is manipulate them into, during the cutscene, jumping over the tubing so that they're in an animation where they can't attack me. So that I can potentially line up a double kill with a boost charge there, but unfortunately I only got one of them because they tend to try to be smart with their AI pathing. So yeah, this is another like really good section where you get to see how powerful water bois boosting can be. I'm not going to do them right here because if you water bois boost into a piece of solid terrain, you just kind of bounce off of it, and that tends to be a bit slow. But this is just like another really, really great bois boosting segment right here. Oh, I bois boosted to my step. I have not had that happen to me before. That's actually kind of strange. So I get to see this movement again, and right here I actually missed it, but you can actually bois boost mid-air there and skip some of the run around there. Unfortunately I mistimed my input, so I didn't get to show that off there. But yeah, this is bois boost heaven. I missed it again. So that's something that happens a lot. Is you expect the game to give you a mini turbocharge and it just doesn't happen, and then you fall to your death because you missed the boost. So that's unfortunate. This is a bit of a tricky movement segment, so you know, not the end of the world, and it's really close to this checkpoint, so not a huge mistake. I'm just trying to show off because the bois boosts here are really cool. There we go. And then right here, I try to... you try not to bonk there. But you can't get a bois boost off there. That sends you really dang far, so I like that one right there. And then... I hate this line. This game has a very interesting sense of humor. But as we water bois boost our way through here, I'm going to be doing a bit of a interesting trigger skip there, where normally these tubings are supposed to expand after you clear the ramp, but if you cut across the ramp at a certain angle, the tubings never inflate, and you can use them in order to get across the gaps without having to hit the grates with your projectile, and that saves several seconds. I don't know who found that, but I'm extremely grateful for them, because aiming the projectile is a little bit cumbersome on controller. It's much easier on Wii because you have Wii pointer controls. But for this, with controller, you have to like hold down a button and then use the right stick in order to aim the reticle, and it's a little bit annoying. So right here what I'm doing is, again, I'm trying to stay grounded, but I'm also making use of the slick surface in order to gain extra speed. Do a little bit of height manipulation there so I instantly land on top of it, and then time a jump charge so that I have just the right amount of height to get there and still land pretty quickly. Oops, this might be bad. That was an interesting angle flip there. So this is pretty straightforward movement from here on out. So this would be another good time for any more plugs or messages you'd like to have read.
Yeah, so I have an $8 donation from Corundum Core that says $8 because 2.5K I'm gay. And we have $150 on top of that from Adam, who says, PWOP is such a wonderful event. My partner and I have been following it since the beginning, and it's become a winter tradition. So excited to see all these runs this weekend. So excited to see all the runs this weekend. Wah!
It is really a marvelous sound. I highly recommend that everyone experiment with bwahing at some point in their life, because it's truly a liberating sensation. But we're coming up to the end of... okay, we're fine. So ideally, I want to try to get a boost charge there so I don't have to go around the left side of the ramp, but that's not a huge deal. Gonna boost into the fan here in order to get some extra height, and then that's the end of the level there. Okay. Now, coming up is probably the most flashy level in the entire run, which is Backwater Rabbids. There's a lot of sections to this level normally, and a lot of, like, non-linear sections. There's one of those, like, red pipe sections where you have to find 5 MacGuffins in order to make the trampoline happen. But we're going to do an extremely ridiculous set of maneuvers in order to just completely skip the level, because, again, this level wraps around on itself a little bit in a way that's not normally supposed to be accessible. But here comes the first part of the trick. So I'm gonna boost backwards off of this ramp, and then boost while I'm underwater to fling me up into the air, and then I can bwah to quit me through the wall, and all of the water is extending through the invisible wall, so I can use that to perform a water bwah boost right here. Oh, I missed it. That's unfortunate. I did not get enough distance there, so I have to go for the trick again. So you just get to see the first flashy part of the trick again, so let me try this. There we go. So that'll clip me through, underneath, and then I'm doing some water bwah boosts to get back out of bounds to where I need to be. There we go. So I got the appropriate distance, then I bwah here in order to prevent some glitchy movement. Then I'm gonna bwah boost off an invisible ledge. One charge, bwah boost. Oh, I missed the level trigger, no! I tried too hard to swag out. So if I did that right, I would have, like, instantly teleported straight into the end level trigger. Unfortunately, I had just too much height, so I failed the trick. So you get to see me do it all again one more time. So I'm gonna be a little bit quiet so I don't beef this again. This is a very hard sequence of events, to make work. That should clear. Good. Corner around the object. Boost. 1. There we go. So when you bwah boost from that deep underwater, you actually gain a ton of height super duper fast. And as a result, you can use the bwah boost to transform that vertical momentum into horizontal momentum and just, like, fly straight into the trigger. So that's what I was going for there. If you're not careful, you can accidentally get too much height and sail straight over the wall. That's the opposite of what you want. So there's a couple of what I would call gimmick levels in Rabbids Go Home, where you have, like, instead of your normal on shopping cart movement, you would have some more different ways of switching it up. And this is one of those levels where instead of a shopping cart, we're going to be riding a jet engine. So I'm going to be mashing here a bit to get our jet engine, and we're just going to sail it into an airport. This is one of my favorite types of levels in the game casually. As you'll see here, we just crash it through the window, and we're just going to suck people up into the jet engine. So this is great. But yeah, we don't have access to boost movement in this level in the same way we would if we have a shopping cart. All we can really do is just take the most straightforward path to the end. And if you want to, for fun, suck up as many unsuspecting civilians into your jet engine as possible. Fun fact, you need to handle all of the civilians in the level in order to get all of their clothing for 100%ing at any of these levels with a jet engine. So make of that what you will. But yeah, this movement's pretty straightforward until we get to the sort of second threshold checkpoint area. So this would be another great time for plugs and donations and stuff.
Yeah, give me a quick moment. This is Power Up with Pride. We are raising money once again for the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project, of course, is the leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth. You can check them out at www.thetrevorproject.org to access their services, find out more about their impact, or to donate. As far as donations go, we are rapidly closing on our next milestone, 3K.
Holy crap. Thank you all so much. So now that we're a bit further into the level, we have access to Verminators, and we can have up to 3 Verminators stuck on our jet engine because I guess their suit makes it a little bit more difficult for them to get sucked up. But if I press the boost button, I can actually consume a Verminator in order to get a speed boost. But right here, I'm going to be doing a bit of a cutscene skip. The cutscene trigger for this fight to happen is actually smaller than the aperture that they give you to enter the cutscene. So you can actually just sail around it and skip that fight entirely. That saves about 5 or 6 seconds or so. And then it's just another casual jet engine ride through another Amogus vent into the end of the level. So after this level, we're going to be getting back to accessing boost type movement. So this is kind of a nice little handbrake because especially the practice of snaking and can be a little bit tiresome if you've been doing it for a while. So this is always a nice break to have midway into the run. But there we go. We get the jet engine into the toilet and probably ruin whatever local municipal sewer system is going on. But no, it's all good. All in favor of going to the moon. Now, interestingly, you would think that we could use the jet engine to fly to the moon. No, you just put it on your pile to the moon, which is great. So this cutscene is going to look like really low res because this is actually a pre-rendered cutscene that was taken straight from the Wii version. So it looks totally like fine on the Wii version, but it looks like kind of compressed. Great quote. Work to earn more, so then you can spend more. Yeah, a little bit of boost movement right here. And then I'm going to be going for a Bois boost off of the top side of the house in order to Bois boost over the ramp. Some certain ramps in the game actually like slow you down considerably before they give you the boost. So sometimes Bois boosting over one is actually a little bit more efficient. Oh, my baby, you monster, Kiki. Sorry, I really like that voice work. So I'm going to be standing in a specific spot to do a similar manipulation to what I did in Bubble Bed Blues, where I manipulate him into coming over the tubing. Oh, I missed the boost timing, but that's okay. Ideally, if you get the boost charge ready, you can actually nail him as soon as he comes over, but it's all fine. We're just going to make our way into the Babble Maw, and I'm going to go for hopefully a really cool looking Bois boost straight into the next Amogus vent. But this level is kind of interesting. So like I mentioned, you're normally supposed to get a bunch of these smaller objects to pile onto the moon. And you're normally supposed to unlock levels by getting all of these items. But because this is an all missions run, we don't really worry about that at all. And so like as a result, this level is pretty open-ended because the game is expecting you just to use it as an opportunity to get more junk for the pile. And it's very like open-ended, but the actual like main path to the end of the level is very linear. So even though this like level has a lot more content to it, it's gonna look really short in a speedrun just because this is all missions. Really tricky little movement section right here. We're on a conveyor belt that's sending us forward, so we have to be very careful about how we snake in order to get our boosts without accidentally hitting any of the cacti. And we're going to get our XL item, and it's just going to send us immediately to the end of the level. Take a little bit of a hydration break, because remember to stay hydrated, gamers. And there we go. So now we're probably going into the hardest level casually on the PC port, and some would argue it's a very difficult level out of the total sum of them on the Wii version itself, which is Total Rabbids Do Us Kart. This is the final of the Bubble Bed levels. And it is quite difficult, not just like even outside of speed tech, and the platforming is just very difficult. But now they're getting married. This is a great cutscene, so I'll shut up. Yeah, so we get to crash this wedding now. So for this first bit here, I have to navigate this explosive over to another launcher. But I have to be very quick with my movement and be careful not to miss my shots. Otherwise, that will hit eventually. Yeah, there we go. So even if it doesn't look like a direct hit, it's not a big deal as long as I just start making my way back for the next shot. So there's 2. And then we just want to make sure the third one's a direct hit so we don't waste additional time. You're also seeing me not boost just to make sure that I don't accidentally let go of the bomb too early, because if you have to pick up the bomb again at all, you won't get there in time. All right, so now we gotta go crash the wedding. So we're gonna start off by going to the left side here. And Santa is rather resilient. You have to either boost into him or yell at him 3 total times in order to successfully remove all of his luggage and clothing. And then right there, I manipulate that specific Verminator. He has a wind-up attack that you actually can't boost through. So I need to keep him a certain distance away so I can, in time, build up my charge before he has the ability to become invulnerable. And so now we're basically going into the Vegas skyline, pretty much. They are getting married in like this sort of like Las Vegas, not Las Vegas for copyright reasons, place. And I just think like the level design of this section is really neat. I just think it's a really well put together bit of platforming. All the geometry looks super sick, and the voice lines from the advertisements in the background are really funny. Hopefully we'll get one of the good ones. It's a bit random which ones we get. This one's funny, but it's not the best one. If we don't get it, I'll point out what it was if I can remember. But yeah, we've got some pretty tricky movement through here. Again, I'm trying to stay grounded in order to make sure I maintain optimal speed. But I'm also trying to be careful because if you take damage with this bubble bed equipped, you just get popped up straight into the air, and that's super slow. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. There we go. Okay, nice. We got the optimal strat there, so we immediately made our way up and over the platform. Ooh, that was a little close. Then we'll make our way to Dante's Casino and the Gardens of Babylon. I don't know. I just think the level geometry here is like super duper creative. Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward platforming segment, so this would be another really great time for plugs and stuff. I don't have too much more to talk about here.
Yeah. Still not much to say other than we do have some upcoming incentives. The next one is going to close overnight, and it's for the character selection for the Barbie Fashion Pack games. Currently, there's exactly 10 cents going to Teresa, so if you want Barbie, Crystalie, or Kira to win, donate 11 cents or more, and your choice of character will be chosen for the Barbie Fashion Pack games. Additionally, we still have an ongoing bid war for the Beat Saber avatar. Pink Captain Falcon is in the lead by $11. So if you want to see our wonderful Peachy Zora play as Ganondorf or Snake, well, you know what to do.
That's amazing incentive. Y'all should definitely donate for that. That's peak gaming right there, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a great punchline for this. Abort! Anywho, there's going to be a really great music sort of bit, I guess, in this next segment when we get to sort of these these scales, I think that's the word. I can't words right now. It's kind of hard when you're doing the gaming. But as soon as we get to that platform that's over there by those pink purple rings, there's going to be a music drop again. So I'll kind of just go off commentary mode for a bit and let you all enjoy the music, because this game's score is brilliant. It's super good. Oh, Barney said the line. Thanks, Barney. There we go. All right, that was actually a pretty good Rabbids US card. That's a really tough level to do optimally, so I'm pretty happy with how that ended up going. We'll do tubing next. Okay, so we're gonna do, I'm doing this a little bit out of order from what I would normally do in a speedrun attempt. I normally save this level for last because it's the easiest of the last three that you're gonna be seeing here. However, the last two levels are really, really cool. So I kind of want to end off on a bang. Not to say that this level isn't cool, it's just another one of those like alternate modes of travel or like special gimmick levels where in this case we have a tire as the XL object around our shopping cart. So we can't do any of like the boost movement. But every time I wall, I can rebound off of walls. And my goal is to try to bounce as little as possible. I'm going to play it a little bit safe here, though. I think there's a strat where you can do that in one less rebound. But the penalty for failure is a little bit high because as soon as your tube gets popped, it's pretty much game over and you have to reload to checkpoint. So I do have to sort of balance between going for the risky strats and also like not dying and losing a bunch of time. So right here, what you're going to see me do is rebound from this platform in order to get to this higher one and avoid some intermediary platforms. And these sort of downhill sections are where we can start to see some of the skips in this level. So rebound off of here and then off of this one so I can skip the middle platform. And then I'm going to try to cut a corner, a really, really precise corner here in order to skip this rebound right here. I think we got it. Nice. Okay, that is way harder than it looks. Because as soon as you start to barely fall off the slope, you die. Did another little rebound skip right there where I bounced off the first one and then skipped all of the intermediary ones, which is a bit risky because there's a bunch of cacti in the way. And again, those instantly pop your tire and you'd have to start that bit over. So that can kind of snowball into a bunch of time loss if you're like me and you don't practice this often. Because it's not one of the like movement heavy levels that require a ton of practice in order to be really good at. Yeah, there we go. So that's the end of the level. It's really, really fast if you know the strats. And this would normally be like the end of the run or the level I would end on. But we got 2 more levels to go because I tried to save some of the best for last. The first of the last, I guess that's a great term, is Country Free for All. Now, this is normally one of people's favorite levels because it's very open-ended. All you have to do is find 5 red pipes, create a trampoline, and you go straight to the XL object. And it's very free-form in how you go about completing the objectives in the level. However, the XL object is in the center of the map, and so what I can try to do is a wall clip in order to skip directly to it. So this might take me several tries. The screen might also shake a little bit when I'm attempting the clip, so if that's something that bothers you, I'll let you know when I successfully get the clip. So consider that your warning, I guess. I fell off the house. Yeah, that happens sometimes. The roof of the house is very slippery. And normally when you're doing speedrun attempts, you start with this level first because it's very difficult to do this quickly. This should work. Okay, I got nudged out of position. That's unfortunate. You can kind of see what I'm starting to go for here a little bit, where we're kind of nudging ourselves between 2 gates, and that'll eventually spit us out through the other side. This will work. Nice. Okay, there we go. That's pretty decent. So yeah, that just clips us right through, and that literally saves several minutes, because you just don't have to do the movement in order to get through any of the red pipes or anything like that. Alright, so now we're going into the final level of the run. Which is high stakes stakes. So we saved 1 more cow level, 1 more Frank level for last. And this level has a lot of really fun tech. It's kind of like the ultimate test of everything I've sort of described at this point with like blah boosting and boost movement and so on. So what I'm going to do here at the start, there's going to be a barrier here that's going to spin around. I'm actually going to break it with my projectile wall moving, which is really, really hard. It takes really precise timing in order to get through there on an early cycle. Then I'm going to try to skip another red pipe section. This glass window does not have collision, so if I boost just right, I can boost straight through the window. Nice, that's second try. That is a really tough strat. So a lot of times with the bois boost, depending on the angle that your cart is at when you initiate the boost determines how high you go. So I actually bonk myself against the wall there a little bit in order to manipulate my height. So I get just enough height to clear over the invisible wall, but not too much so that I actually have the speed that I need so I don't void out. It's a really tight balance to try to weave. Right here, I do a specific set of boosts so I can beat that obstacle cycle out, and it's all going to be snaking from here. You're not going to hear any music for now, because we skipped a whole bunch of stuff. Normally you have to get the 5 red pipes in order to access the cow truck chase down portion, but we didn't activate that, so we get to make our way in silence to the end of the level here. I think we will get some Cat Stevens music here in a little bit when we get to the next portion of the level. Gonna boost, and then bois boost off the right side over the wall to skip that obstacle there. And then from here, I'm just on a good enough cycle that I can just scoot right by. And we are coming up towards the end of the run now. It's just a little bit more of basic boosting movement, and we're pretty much at the end of the run. Once we get the cow, it'll immediately teleport us to where we need to go for the toilet. And time is as soon as we crash into the final wall. So we got our last cow here, Frank, and we call time as soon as we see the wall break. So get ready on time. And time. All right. Yeah, so that is I was timing myself as well. So that looked like a 50-minute, 18-second run to me from my life split timer. Also, this is the cutscene that we would always skip at the end of the level, so. Jazz. Big band. Let's listen to the music real quick. All right, but yeah, so a 50-18 is really, really good. I set my estimate kind of generously because the wall clip that I did in the second to last level is very finicky. So anything like that good is really, really exciting. So that was really great. So thank you so much to everyone for having me. Thank you for indulging me and showing off a very strange but very awesome game that I enjoy quite a bit. So yeah, Rabbids go home. Sick, you should speedrun it. Yeah, a couple of quick shoutouts. Again, shoutouts to the Power Up with Pride staff for always running a tight ship and for just working so hard. It's so hard to run a marathon. I appreciate you all very much. Shoutouts to Speedruns Rochester, all the friends. I miss you all so much. And shoutouts to the Rabbids Go Home speedrunning community. Big shoutouts to Doggy333. I think I mentioned him. But he has like every world record in this game, and he is super duper talented at this game. And for example, like literally found the elevator proxies like last week. So huge shout out to Doggy. Shout outs to the rest of the community as well. Retro, Isaac, Tub, everybody. Y'all are great. I appreciate you all so much, and thank you for welcoming me to your community with such open arms when I decided to pick up this game. With that said, I don't have anything else really. So thank you all so much for being here. We've got a really great run of Air Memories of Old coming up next by Freya's Spirit. So make sure you tune in for that. Again, thank you all so much for sticking around and being a part of this, and have a great rest of the event, everybody. Take good care of yourselves.
And thank you very much. As mentioned, we've got Air Memories of Old coming up next, and we'll be right back there with you. Just hang tight.